Hi guys, welcome back to Centennial Roots Homestead. I'm Kristen, and today we're going to do things a little bit different. We moved here to the Century Farm about a year and a half ago. We moved from our forever home. If you read my story, you know that at first I was not excited to be doing that. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what, this is the thing to do. So we moved here, and I have started all over again with my homestead journey. I've homesteaded pretty much my entire adult life, grew up on a farm, so knew what that was all about, and had to start all over again. Gardens, fruit trees, berry bushes, everything. It's been fun, it's been a journey, it's always a work in progress, and so today I wanted to kind of take you around and show you where we've been and where we're going. This is the first full year to have anything in the garden. The perennial stuff has come back this spring, so that's been exciting. So I'll show you around a little bit, and you might be able to get some ideas from what I'm doing, or if you have ideas for me that you think would look good, let me know that. Seems that around here the weather has not been conducive for quite some time. We have had a lot of rain or a lot of wind or both. So it's been kind of hard to take any video footage outside. But this morning I'm going to try to sneak a little bit in. This is the tea garden. The Clematis is in full bloom. If you all know anything about Clematis, it is beautiful, but it can also be medicinal and be used as a tea. This Clematis was here when we moved back to the Century Farm about a year and a half ago, and it had been rather neglected out in the middle of the yard. So I transplanted it back up against the house on this old gate, and it's looking really good. It likes it. Its new happy home. Beside it, after our herb garden workshop, I had a leftover lavender, and so I planted one up here. I thought that would go really neat with the purple clematis and also is great as a tea. Next over here in the planter is some lemon balm, and it's happy in its home. And if you recall the video I did previously showing the strawberry, chamomile, and feverfew bed, it's producing strawberries, and they are the sweetest. I'm actually enjoying coming out of a morning when I have to go into my office job. I'll grab some strawberries and throw it on some yogurt and head out the door. The chamomile is just gonna be blooming before long. Strawberries are sending out runners, and this that you're seeing in the back is the feverfew. So I've got a good stand of it coming up nicely. That's about all we've got tea garden wise so far. Even Harvey enjoys a good garden tour. There is the lemongrass, and I ended up putting some basil in there. Nothing too exciting, but probably getting ready, especially this one over here, for a good lemongrass harvest. And then over on this side, we've got the witch hazel growing in the back with some fun ground cover in the front, a row of lilies and asters. These were all transplanted last year as little bitty plants. The daylilies were actually this year. And then over here is that toothache plant. If you were at the herb garden workshop, you saw us taste the toothache plant. It actually does numb your mouth. You can use the leaf and chew on it. The flower actually has more potency, and you're seeing I'm starting to get some flowers there. So that's kind of a fun plant to have. If you've got a toothache, you can numb your mouth right up. One thing I didn't mention over here by the tea garden in this pot is some cinnamon basil, and it's really good. So that's the front tea garden. Here along the side of the house, we've got rudbeckia coming on, nice big and bushy. It'll be showing some flowers before long. followed by echinacea and yarrow. I thought this turned out really pretty with the color of the echinacea and the yarrow together. Obviously, anything I plant is generally medicinal or culinary, but also fun. I like to have color in my garden. So I'm not opposed to adding things that don't necessarily benefit me other than make me happy. Ground thyme coming up there. Some marigolds. And then in here behind this basket, which is strategically placed to keep the dogs from digging until this gets bigger, but my rose bush is coming back. It's a really pretty burnt orange rose and looks really good up against this color of the house. Some volunteer stuff coming back, just kind of waiting to see what it does. Again, more marigolds. Some diathesis. And then again, these can be medicinal. Most of them nowadays are just for beauty, but I do love having the Asiatic lilies. Plan on adding more to those as we go. So starting on the north end of the garden, that yellow stake that you see right there is the garden gate, or eventually will be a garden gate, with blackberry trellises on either side going east and west. The blackberries are in the mail. So they're coming from Stark Brothers. If you've seen the garden tours I've done before, most all of my trees are from Stark Brothers, and I really have had good success with them. So they should be here any day. These two rows, again, these are also in the mail because I had some and misplaced them. But a row of wildflowers and a row of zinnias. These are about 50 feet long. So those will be getting planted out soon. On over here, I'll kind of take you around and show you. This is the planned fruit tree alley. And so I've got little bitty damson plum trees started on either side of the alley. If you've never had damson plum jelly, you're missing out. It is fantastic. So you can see maybe that we're starting to get some good growth on these. So I'm excited to see them grow. Next in the alley are two different plum trees that I actually picked up this year at a local box store. They were on sale for $15 a piece, so I couldn't pass them up. So those are both plum trees as well. And hopefully with all this rain, they can still survive. Heading on down the alley, the next trees that aren't here yet will be two cherry trees on either side. Here's a closer look at the plum trees. They're kind of sad with all of this rain. So hopefully they can bounce back if we ever get a dry spell. So anyway, back to the next tree in the alley will be cherry tree on either side. And then at the end of the alley. So this building was affectionately referred to as the skunk shed, and it will become my greenhouse seed starting room as well as chick brooder for the meat birds. So the last thing you see here is peach trees planted last year, and they're looking really good. So it's fun to have the garden right close to the pig pen so that I can throw extra scraps over anytime I've got garden waste, and they're happy to help me out with that garden stuff. This is horseradish, and it's coming up nicely. Apologize for the guinea. They tell me that guineas are hard to actually hatch out, that guinea hens are not very broody. I started with 7 last year and ended up with 42. I do have some more setting on nest currently, so we'll see what we get. but I may be looking for homes for some guinea keats. Over here is just some containers that I put stuff in as we were moving, and I haven't found a place for it yet. The foxglove has bloomed and it's gorgeous. Natural digitalis, digoxin. So it's can be a dangerous plant. You want to be careful with animals and small kids, and of course yourself. But it is pretty to look at. The old mailbox will be getting a facelift. This was Papa Bean's mailbox, and I'm going to paint it up and use it in the garden, so I've got a place to throw my gloves and little hand tools so I don't have to go clear back to the garden shed. The garden shed's that building back there on the other side of the bulk bin. So that'll be fun, just to keep that in the garden and have a nice little focal piece. So on to the beds. My green beans are doing really good. My thought when I planted these was to put my sweet potatoes in the middle, and I had some time before they grew out, and so I thought I'd have time to plant green beans all the way around, harvest them, and then the sweet potatoes will have taken over this bed. So I did that on that bed and that one down there. I've got apple trees, different kinds, 2 over here, followed by 2 pear trees towards the south, and then more apple trees on the west. In this bed is my cilantro. We love cilantro around here, so I grew a lot of it, am growing a lot of it. I just kind of throw things in where I have a bare spot. So here's a pepper plant. It's a fooled you jalapeno, so not quite the spice. Followed by some calendula and some dill. We're doing our fermentation and kombucha workshop next week. Kombucha, good grief. And it'll be next weekend, so we can add some dill or some cilantro to our fermented veggies that we do. My cabbage was looking wonderful until this week. I was trying to let it get a little bit bigger, and it looks like the bugs thought it was a fine size to eat. So I'll have to get this harvested before they absolutely ruin it. The weather's getting warm enough anyway, so it wouldn't last much longer. My onions are doing great. You can see in there the purple onions. I've got a bed of those, and they're getting really close to ready to harvest. And then over here are the yellow onions, and they're getting close as well. This has been an interesting bed to watch. This is my potato bed. I generally do crates, but I thought, I'll try a bed this year. If you notice on the left-hand side, they're a lot smaller and starting to die off. That section there was my store-bought russet potatoes that had sprouted, so I just threw them in the ground. I think we'll get some harvest. I'll keep you all updated on that, but I thought it was interesting how my seed potatoes, and these are Kennebec, actually grew a lot better, a lot bigger, and they're not quite ready to harvest. So I'll show you the difference in the potatoes, store-bought versus seed, as we go along, as I get it harvested. If you saw my little reel that I put on Instagram with the eggs I happen to be growing in my potato bed. Yep, she's in there, setting on about 4 dozen guinea eggs. So we should be getting close within another week or so of seeing how many keats are hatched out. So that'll be fun. Over here is basil, tomato, and pepper. And if you're wondering about all the green plastic covering, that is because the guineas have decided not just to eat bugs, but to eat my plants as well. They seem particularly fond of tomatoes and peppers, and as soon as I plant them, they would nip them right off and eat them, leaving me with about an inch stem. So this is my solution. They haven't really bothered anything else other than tomatoes and peppers. So maybe once the plants get a little bit bigger, I can take that off and actually have a pretty garden. In my hanging baskets this year, I decided to do purslane. It's a fun edible weed that grows native around here a lot, but this was a really pretty one. Doesn't look like there are any blooms out right now, but I thought that would hang over pretty and be kind of heat tolerant in case I forget to water. Here's one of the apple trees. Below all my apple trees, I've planted comfrey. If you haven't seen all the great uses of comfrey, you'll have to watch our video on that. So it's looking good, already bloomed out. Strawberry beds are starting to fill in. This is the first full year for them, and they're sending out lots of runners. Not a terrible good year for strawberries, but as they get filled in, I think we'll have a good harvest from here on out. The thyme, if you hadn't seen my thyme, it's going everywhere. It is a good companion plant for blueberries. If you can see the blueberries in there. I don't know, it has really taken over. There's another little blueberry in there. So I've harvested quite a bit of it, but it looks like I'm going to have to harvest more, get it cut back quite a bit. Over here is just kind of a mishmash bed. I'm trying to decide what to do with it. It's got some asters in it, as well as a mum that came up from last year. And then all this little stuff that you see is allium. Nope, not allium, alyssum. It's a good ground cover that's really pretty, and so it's starting to pop its way up through. So most of that, there's a few weeds in there, most of that is alyssum. And then over here is a June-bearing strawberry bed, which is not done near as well as the ever-bearing. But I'm trying to fill it in as we go. So it's produced a little bit for me. Not enough for a lot of strawberry jam though, and that's what we like most. And the other pear tree over there. There's both of the pear trees. This is my Arkansas black apple tree, and I'm excited about it. I just planted it last year, got it from a local nursery. Again, had to get a good sale. And it's got quite a few little apples on it. So it'll be fun to see how that produces this year. How good they are. I've not had an Arkansas black apple to my knowledge. So that's kind of an overview. Oh, I guess we forgot these beds here. Again, more guinea protection, but the wind keeps it blown open. But we've got tomatoes and peppers in here, and then along this trellis is the cucumbers. So they'll be able to grow up the trellis and give us some good cucumbers. And then I harvested my broccoli the other day for the most part. Go ahead and let it finish, and then I'll pull it out. And it's about time to harvest the garlic. I did have some hardneck that sent up some scapes. Those are fun, and those are yummy too. Didn't have a whole lot. Again, just throwing stuff in where I can. I've got some squash plants and a couple of pepper plants in here as well. So still adding to the space that's out here before you get to the alley is going to be a in-ground no-till garden, and that will be in front of the zinnia row and the wildflower row. So little by little, we're adding to the Century Farm, getting the garden up and going and being self-sufficient. We will chat with you guys next time. Thanks for watching.